Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. It's Suhaida, and if this is your first time, you are welcome to my channel. I really hope you enjoy the content I have out here. And if it is not, you know me already, and you know I like to keep it real. And so today I am trying to delve back deep into the closet of memories in order to pull out something that I know you'll appreciate. As usual, the subscribe button is there at your disposal. Please hit it and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. In beginning this video, I would like to let you understand that my family, like many others in the world, is very flawed. To say that I come from a highly scandalous family is no exaggeration. And one day, if I truly have the peace and the closure to air out all of that dirty laundry, you might get to hear it. But right now, just understand, my family is less than perfect. I have enough love to go around, but there are just some people that are hard to love, even though they will be your relatives. And such a person is my older brother. I'm not going to get into the particulars of all the reasons why we don't see eye to eye. Trust me, we won't have enough time to deal with it. But I'm going to tell you this one incident from my childhood that I've held to my heart for the longest time. And it's one of the incidences that I think that not only can I not forgive my older brother for, I cannot forgive my mother, I cannot forgive my brother, my other brother, because they were there when it was happening and none of them helped. Heck, in fact, they helped him inflict the trauma he did on me. If you haven't gathered from this preamble yet, this is going to be a very sad story. And it might also be triggering for some people, especially if you grew up in a home where corporal punishment was the order of the day. It might be a little triggering, so bear with me. Coming from a Muslim and military background means that I have had a lot to do with discipline and walking the straight path and all of that, because that's the setting in which my brothers and I were raised. And this particular incident happened when my older brother, I think he's about 4 years older than me. We don't talk, so I don't know if it is okay to mention his name. Let's call him Solomon. My older brother has always been a bully. He's always been a bully, but he returned from high school an even bigger bully who was determined to straighten out his younger siblings. And as he got along with my twin, I suffered the brunt of his dislike. And it ranged from big things to little things. He was always finding a reason to quarrel with me. As you can tell, I am not the type to sit quietly if you bring trouble to my front door. So we had many clashes. On the particular day of the incident, it was during Ramadan, and I was also a devout watcher of Princess Hours, this Korean drama series that was aired on TV3 at 6 p.m. I think. I always tuned in live to watch. It was one of my favorite things to do. It was also my job to prepare the evening porridge with which my brothers would break their fast. I'm an odd now. We make hausa cocoa in my house. The butter is in the fridge. You just take it out, you stir it in hot water, and you're good to go. So that was my job every evening, to make porridge for my brothers to break their fast with. And on this particular evening, to be very, very honest with you, it was getting towards the end of fasting. So the porridge butter we were using had settled, you know, and I was 10, 11, 9, I don't remember. I was really young, and this was my first time making porridge over and over and over and over. So I didn't think, oh, the butter settles, so you must stir it before fetching it out. So towards the end of the fasting, as the butter was running out, it was clotting and forming lumps. So it's time, I go to the kitchen, I try to make the porridge, then I realized that the porridge is getting lumpy. I didn't get it. If you know how to make hausa cocoa, you know that during the stirring process, it's like Tom Brown. You don't let go of your ladle, else you risk the entire thing becoming lumpy. I know this rule, I stick to it, and that's why over 20 out of 30 days of Ramadan, I was able to make splendid porridge for my brothers night after night. On this day, the porridge turned out lumpy. And I remember my mother and my brothers coming home from wherever it is that they went. And they wouldn't let me hear the end of it. It was all about how I was lazy and all I knew how to do was watch TV and I was good for nothing. It was a lot of insults and abusive words hurled at me from 3 people. Very, very trying time. And there was this thing my mother had to say about me growing up. She said I had already made answers to her questions. I'm sure your parents have told you several things about how they don't appreciate you talking back. I talked back like all of you, and I talked back because I felt when I was being unfairly treated, I had to speak up. This is one thing that Ghanaian parents, stop telling your children that they are disrespectful or they talk back. They are defending themselves. They are defending themselves. If you don't want to raise timid children, allow your children the airspace to tell you their side of the story. Don't just come hurling insults at them and yelling at them without even hearing the full story. This is something that many of our parents raised us with, and I hope that we won't make the same mistakes with our children, because it is very, very damaging to the psyche of any child. Don't yell at your child, and especially when your child has made a mistake. It's the worst time. How do you expect them to self-correct or even learn better when you are coming from a place of anger and putting fear in them? It's not right. If you do that, please don't do it. Your child didn't ask to be born to you to come and suffer. So they are yelling, they are insulting me all about how I'm good for nothing and I am lazy and all I know is TV and common porridge I cannot cook. A lot of insults. While it was happening, I remember my living room as a child had maybe the TV towards the end of the room, and the entrance had the dining table. So I was standing near the entrance and the kitchen, while the rest of the family was in the living area insulting me. And they talked and talked and talked and talked, and I cut in and went like, this is not my fault. It's not my fault that this thing turned out how it turned out. But they wouldn't give me any space to explain. So I was still trying to get a word in. And when I get passionate or when I get angry or when I'm sad or close to tears, I switch to English. I speak English to myself in my head. So when my filter goes off, English comes out. I switched immediately from tree, mempesa, munja demoye, no mama menkasa to, you don't get it, let me explain. And immediately those words came out of my mouth. I saw my brother who was trying to drink the porridge from the lamps look up at me and go like, what did you say? Then I repeated, you don't get it. Maybe at that time, my older brother was not exactly a wordsmith. So he took it that I was insulting him, or maybe he was looking for an excuse to get my goat that evening. But he strongly took offense to the fact that I said he didn't get it and said I was insulting him and saying he wasn't smart enough to catch on to what was happening. He sent my twin brother to bring his belt, and then he's advancing towards me with the belt. The smartest thing in that moment should have been turning around and running away so that I could come back home when things had cooled down. But I don't back away from a fight, especially since he had returned home. He had always been finding a reason to come at me. So I looked at the dining table and I saw the bread knife, so I picked it up and went like, my guy, not today. That infuriates him even more. So he just like comes and he's like, cut me, stab me, stab me. So I actually like tried to go at him. Then he grabs my wrist and just twists the knife out of my hand. Then he pulls me by the scruff of my shirt and starts whipping me mercilessly with his belt. He beats me, drags me across the floor to the living area where he's able to corner me beside the TV, and he keeps beating me. And if you can tell the details with which I remember what I am saying, you need to understand that I live that moment almost every single time I feel a single drop of pain. It's like, it just brings me back there. Or any time that any older man tries to outsmarts me, tries to talk down on me, my mind just goes back there to that beating, because he beat me for so long, so hard that the belt fell apart. He basically beats me till his ED belt broke and fell apart. Then he wasn't satisfied, because while he was beating me, I was silent. I was just receiving blow after blow. I just felt dead inside. I don't know. I think I went far in my mind and I could witness the horror that was happening, but I really couldn't pull myself into that moment and live it. So I was watching somebody who looked exactly like my father inflict pain on me for something I didn't even get what I had done. And while he was beating me, my twin brother was standing just behind him, laughing his head off and having a good time that I was being abused. Then my mother, who was also in the living room, simply walked out while saying I deserve it. And this is what I get for talking back. My father was on a peacekeeping mission then, and I was daddy's favorite. So my hero was gone. He beat me mercilessly, the belt broke. Then he sent for a branch, which Saeed quickly complied with. He ran fast as lightning and went outside, broke the most wiry branch he could find on a neem tree, and presented it to my older brother, who continued with his assault. He beat me out, that branch also broke. And when he was sending for another one, something broke inside me and I just went like, so what do you want? Then he told me to go down on my knees and repeat that I would never talk to my brother like he's an idiot. And I will never raise any kind of weapon against him when he's trying to correct me. Then he left. I never liked my older brother. We never got along. We'll never get along. It's just not in the stars for us. Let's just say he didn't turn out to be anything surprising to me, is all I'm going to say about it. And honestly, it's not right to defame family. So I wouldn't come and then say other stories that he's implicated in that have nothing to do with me. I'll only share what was done to me by him and not go any further with it. So Manansi say mama came edo enyedo ebinko ne bimbra me de swamo, because I know that all of us grew up in similar settings and all of us suffered one kind of abuse or the other, and it is hard to revisit it. Or if it is not, we tend to normalize it and think it's a part of growing up. It is not. It is not. If psychoanalysis has it right, all of this trauma doesn't go away. It's just embedded in your subconscious, and you grow up and repeat similar patterns in different ways that are toxic. So when you grow up, I would advise you to do what psychoanalysts say and just sit with your childhood self and give your childhood self that closure, that safety, that comfort and love that you might not have had growing up because of maybe indifferent parents or parents who genuinely thought they were doing what was good for you. Sit with yourself and show yourself that compassion in order for that child in you to be comforted, so that you don't end up maybe having great daddy issues or being mistrustful or one kind of mental health issue or the other. If you need help dealing with any kind of trauma, please DM me. I have some resources or some resource people that I could put you in contact with who could become beneficial to you. And if there is anything that you want to hear further about this, Let me know in the comments below and I'll get right back at you. It's not been a happy story, but thank you for sticking through with me to the end. And maybe next week I'll have some good news for you with a more entertaining video. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do so. And as always, it's been your favorite girl, your favorite alien, Suhaida. Goodbye.